Welcome to the model room. Thanks for tuning in. Doing just a quick video today about cutting styrene. And where's the best place to start? Well, there it is. The ubiquitous and ever-present X-Acto knife. There are other hobby knives, but generically we kind of refer to them as X-Actos. This has been around for almost a century. It was invented in 1930. And I don't know any hobbyist that doesn't have one, and people other than hobbyists use them all the time. I think I've had one, or I got my first one, more than 60 years ago. And it's a very useful knife. The thing about it is this is a stainless steel blade, and it's nice and firm. It's very sharp. It does a great job cutting styrene, even aluminum tubing, wood, or whatever. And of course, you can turn it over and scratch it backwards with the point and either scribe a line or cut right through plastic. And it does that pretty well because it leaves a very thin line. The thing of it is, of course, that takes a long time to do all that scribing. So the question, I guess, is there anything that has come along that might improve on that? Well, here's one thing. It's the hot knife. Sometimes they're called a wood-burning tool, and they've been around for a long time. If you're anywhere near my age, you remember that they were advertised heavily in the Auto World catalog. And back in the day, I really wanted one because, boy, they made it look great. And of course, I wanted to cut those wheel wells out so I could stick big tires out of my models, as was the mode of the day. But it turns out that these things don't work all that great. They make a big rut. They melt the plastic very easily. This particular one, I've had it for a long time. It is by Dremel, and it only has one temperature setting. You can do a lot of other things with it too. You can solder with it and do stuff like that. But it's good in modeling for welding plastic. I'm just doing a cutting video today, but I will link to Doug White's wonderful video on how to weld plastic, how to put plastic parts together without glue or filler. And you can see how that works. Takes a light touch, but it can be done. Needs a little practice. Nonetheless, this is a cutter, and I'm going to show you how it cuts. The other thing that I have is over here, if I can move the camera around, I think. This is a sonic knife. I just got this. Frankly, they ain't cheap, but they do a pretty good job. As you can see, I've already made room for it on my rather messy desk. This will do a pretty good job. You don't have to scrape back and forth. It vibrates, I don't know, 30,000 times a minute or something like that. So it's worth giving it a shot, and we're going to take a look at that as well. The other thing, of course, that we can use, here's a hobby knife with a saw blade in it. This came from Micromark. I like their blades because they're pretty firm. They're not quite as flexible as the ones that you get on those photo etch frets. And it does a pretty good job. I don't like the real fine blades because I think you just saw away forever. But with the coarser blade, I think this does a pretty good job. Nonetheless, I think that I want to give a try to this. And I'll also show you how that hot knife works or fails to work. Okay, the hot knife should be ready to go now. Sometimes you'll see, where is it? There it is. Sometimes you'll see that there's a little bit of smoke that comes up off of it. As I said, there's no temperature gauge. You can hook something up that will help to increase or decrease the temperature. I'm not doing that with this. And there's also no on-off switch. You just plug it in or you unplug it. So, just to start off, if you want to just cut some sprue, you can do that fairly easily. This is not quite hot enough. But as you can see, it melts the plastic. I'm trying to look at the part, and also, do you see how it's melting that plastic? It's very hot. You have to use a very light touch. If I wanted to cut through here, yeah, I can do that. But it's going to make a mess of that plastic, if you can see that. And maybe you can see the smoke coming off of that. And it gets hot. Now, I have a pour donor body that I'm going to use just to kind of show what it's like. And I'm not getting in real close myself, so I'm just kind of looking over the camera, and we'll see how this goes. If I wanted to draw along this line, I can do that. You see it melting. You can't really go through the plastic without making that big furrow and getting a lot of fumes off of it as well. These are styrene fumes. They're really not that good. But I can do it. And eventually it will make a little line, but not without a big mess. Years ago, when I was at GSL, I saw modeling pioneer Bob Paith use one of these. He showed how when they were working at Revell, they would, so there you go, that's what it does. Not at all good. Bob was working at Revell, and he would do this. They would cut up bodies, and then they would stick them together, and they would weld them back together by pushing the plastic through and adding extra styrene. You can do that, but you can see, I think you can see the smoke coming off of this now. It's got all that plastic on it, and it's making a lot of fumes. In any case, Bob would do this, and of course it came out like this, and he had to clean it up with a lot of sandpaper and filing and melting more plastic in, etc. So it doesn't work well. Look at Doug's video rather, and you will see that it does work well for welding. On the other hand, this particular unit from a company called Frozen, with a PH, not an F, does work fairly well. It's not the end-all and be-all because it kind of takes a while to go through. It doesn't cut exactly off. A lot of people use these for cutting off the, I guess you would say, the frets or the connectors in 3D prints, and that's pretty good. Although, frankly, I think you can just use your fingers to knock them off. I don't do 3D printing, so I'm not going to say whether this is terribly useful for that or not. This won't work until you push this button on top here. When you do, you will see nothing, you will hear nothing. But this, I can tell you right now, is vibrating very, very fast. Here's a sprue, and if I want to cut through a sprue, I don't know if you can hear that. It's a little bit of a beep or something. There, cut right through. Right through. If I want to cut this sprue off, or cut it in half, it takes a bit of time. It does a little bit melt the plastic. The knife itself is not hot, but the friction on the plastic part does generate some heat, so there's a little bit of melt. But pretty much this goes through wonderfully. Now, I have to put the cut-resistant glove on. I forgot that, so let me get that. Okay, these gloves are a little stretchy, but they're really not made for people with very big hands. In any case, it is important, because if you touch yourself with this thing when it's running, you're going to cut yourself, and you don't want that. These are not entirely cut proof, they're cut resistant. So again, let me try and get this in front of the camera, and we'll see how it cuts through this body. Where's my button? Here it is. Okay. Okay, button pushed. Hear that? That's the vibration. As you can see, I'm going very slowly. It's a little far away from me, but it is making a pretty nice groove down the body here. And I can set the knife before I push the button. Oh, that cut all the way through already. So there you go. And this will go around curves, compound curves. You have to have a nice sharp blade. They give you extra blades. You probably can buy them from the company. I don't think. Now, I'm not real practiced with this, so I'm not doing a straight line. I'm also not very close to it. But as you can see, there it goes. It comes through very quickly. The line itself is not real melted. Might take a little bit of cleanup, but overall, I think that it makes a pretty nice cut that you can work with, that you can build with. So this thing, I'll put a link below for this. If you want to take a look at it, I got it through Amazon. And I think that it's going to be useful. As I said, it's a little under $300, but what do we pay as modelers for 3D printers now and wash tanks, things like that? Even Dremel is getting up there, not $300, but overall, I think we're going to get enough use out of this that it'll be worth it. Okay, that's the video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your subscriptions and I appreciate your likes. So we'll see you next time.